I want to go across now to Dr. Mukesh Aghi, President and Chief Executive at the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum, a very important bridge between India and the United States. And I have Harsh Vardhan Shringla, former Foreign Secretary, Ambassador to the United States, joining us as well. Dr. Aghi, to you first. Do we know whether India will be targeted in this press conference that Donald Trump is doing later in the afternoon in DC, where he's threatened reciprocal tariffs? Or have you all been behind the scenes able to ensure that India is not touched in the reciprocal tariffs that Trump announces today?
Well, India will get impacted, Rahul, because it's reciprocal across the board itself. And the overall objective is treat us the way you want to treat us to you the same way. So I think India will get impacted. If you look at India's average tariff is around 13%. US is around 2.2%. So there will be an impact. Now, as far as the press conference goes, I think that's always a challenge, because depending on the reporters asking a question, either to corner the president or corner the prime minister. So that's always very difficult to manage. But I think overall, the sentiment is very positive. I think the relationship is not just only about tariff. It's about geopolitics. It's about technology. It's about people to people.
No, but it's so also awkward timing, Dr. Aghi, with respect. I know you've been working very hard in building this visit up behind the scenes, but this is bad timing because you've called the Prime Minister there. That's the day you picked to do this press conference. You announced tariffs. Parliament is in session here. The opposition would be itching for this opportunity to have a go at the Prime Minister.
No, absolutely, Rahul. And I think that's the message we have conveyed. I think it's the same thing when the US shipped 104 basically illegal immigrants to India on a military plane, handcuffed and shackled. That was not the best optic for the Indian side, but that was the best optic for Trump and his base itself. So I think when you look at it from Trump's perspective, it doesn't matter he does it today or tomorrow. There is optics. And I think India has seen, and at least has called India as a tariff king. And so from that perspective, not the best timing, but it was coming.
No, but then, you've invested so heavily in this relationship with the United States. Just from a more dispassionate perspective, many Indians who are watching you at this time would say, can we trust a partner who's as mercurial? I mean, this is the leader of the Indian Republic. He's coming there. It's a big meeting. If you can't show basic respect to our leader, then how much faith can we have in how dependable our partnership with the US under Trump really is?
Well, I think the issue is not the partnership. I think the issue is the style and substance of the president. If you look at his meeting with King Abdullah, was more focused on wishing to take 1 million Palestinians from Gaza itself. Same thing with the Prime Minister of Japan in the press conference. So I think that's his style. So I think basically it's not targeted towards India. That's how he basically communicates and behaves, and we have to manage that.
No, but this also then pushes other countries to create optionality. That if you call the King of Jordan, if you call the Prime Minister of Japan, and you get aggressive against them, and these are your closest allies. This is not Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin that you're talking to. These are your closest friends, and if this is how you treat them, how then can these friends trust you?
Agree, and I think what's going to happen is you allow for one time this opportunity, and if you're not treated in a manner as the head of a state, then what happens is you will not get the second option and the third option itself. And a lot of countries are watching as the first meetings are taking place, and if those meetings are not handled in a respectful manner, then I think you'll see the world basically turning away from America and getting closer together among themselves itself.
You're speaking so candidly, given that the whole ethos of the US ISPF is to bring India and America together. I think that's a very strong message that you're confirming, and I know, and I want to tell our viewers that Dr. Aghi has worked extensively behind the scenes in building this trip, so he has a good sense, and he's actually said that there will be an impact in India, impact of that press conference in India, which really also then takes the whole, the whole tempo out when Biden and Modi met, and I know that you were there was so much, in the lawns of the White House, they're chanting India, United States, Modi, Biden. There's a lot of bonhomie. The whole build-up seems to have been not a very pleasant build-up, unfortunately, Dr. Aghi.
Well, I think behind the scene, the relationship is very strong.
Of course.
They're working. You have to understand they're optic to Trump's base, which he wants to project in the early part of his presidency.
अब तो election जीत लिया, अब कौन सा base? अब तो 4 साल के बाद whoever's the next guy, he has to deal with this base. I mean, this is the point. Now the elections are over. Modi is here for real. I mean, the election is now, you can keep charging up your base, but that's really actually required just before the election.
No, I think you have to understand 26 midterms are coming. And you have a game plan for 28. So you are trying to appease your base itself. And that's where the whole, I would say, the press conference is focused on. But overall, if you look at behind the scene, the cabinet has received the prime minister very respectfully, very warmly. And I think the president is going to do the same thing. So, we should not just look at the press conference and say, hey, this has been not the best optics for India.
No, I would have agreed with you. They could have chosen any other day to do the press conference. See, there's a context. The questions about the press conference, because Trump announced the press conference, you've done this press conference 10 days later, it wouldn't have mattered so much to India.
I agree on that perspective. But I think overall, there's a lot of pressure to basically look at tariffs aspect of the relationship. And I think this is an opportunity for India also to look at its economy, to make it more competitive by lowering the tariffs itself. So I think it gives a lot of ammunition to the Prime Minister also to be able to say, okay, I am going to make my companies compete more efficiently, effectively on a global basis. And this is a chance to lower the tariff.
We actually just did lower the tariffs in the budget. Now, whether Trump thinks that's good enough or not is a different matter. But actually preempting a lot of this, Prime Minister Modi and Finance Minister Sitharaman did lower a lot of the outlier tariffs and brought them down. I want to thank you for joining us, Dr. Mukesh Aghi, President at the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum, sounding more careful about this meeting than the exuberance we usually see before a bilateral, and that press conference obviously is a spoke in the wheel. For being candid and for taking out time on a big day. Thank you, Dr. Aghi. I hope to see you tomorrow once we know what emerged from this meeting. So do keep us in your calendar for tomorrow.